Hey everybody, trust everyone's doing well. Today's feature is going to be lamb chops from Gold Canyon Meat Co., my favorite place. All right, so for those who haven't cooked too much with lamb, it's a fabulous protein. There's a lot of people who don't like it because it's too gamey. The great thing about this particular cut is that it's from Colorado, which is a less gamier flavor profile. It's also pasture raised, so we control the feed as well. So I personally feel that this particular protein or this particular cut, being pasteurized and being from Colorado, has a much more mild flavor profile. So you won't have to taste that like strong mutton lamb flavor. So today, in order to complement this dish, we've done a couple cool things with it. Everything I do for the most part, especially when it comes to recipes, I try not to put too much emphasis on overdoing the vegetable, the protein, any of the complements, but just put enough touches to it so it really highlights the dish. So because we're in the season, I like messing with squash, right? It's really available right now. There's a lot of varietals, anything from heirloom to acorn to pumpkin, or whatever you like. I think there's quite the arrangement in this season. So this particular one is a carnival squash. It's very, very dense, very hard, but it's great for roasting. It holds up well. You can cook it to an al dente state. What I've done here, pardon my grab in here, is actually just pre-roast them a little bit. I cut them into almost like moon-like shapes, right? Didn't want to get too crazy with it and trying to form anything in particular. I wanted that rough look. And then just season them lightly with a little bit of salt, pepper, and paprika. The paprika is going to have the nice smoky flavor profile that I'm looking for, especially the fact that I'm either going to pan-sear or grill my lamb. So I'm going to go ahead and get these all warmed up in my pan while we continue the process here. Now, the lamb chop itself, these are 3 ounce to 3.5, almost pushing 4. I'm a big fan of the lamb chop itself because of the pickup time. If you grill it, you pan-sear it, medium rare to medium, you're probably looking at about 6 minutes with rest time, probably looking at maybe 8 to 10 minutes. So you can get a nice, good grill. Now, obviously, everyone's grill is probably a little bit different, hot spots. Your ovens not might work the same as everyone, so just make sure that that's being taken into consideration. But for this, I was able to grill it within a 6 to 8 minute time and let it rest. So total pickup time about approximately 10 minutes. Something like this, like I said, labor saving when it comes to you having to cut your own meat. You don't have to worry about cutting it. Typically, these cuts already come, unless you have a bandsaw and you get the whole strap yourself. So think of this as like almost like a mini T-bone. So you have a little bit of the New York in there as well as the filet. So there's a lot of great flavors going on in here. So these, I went ahead and grilled them, but you can pan-sear them. We're going to go ahead and put them back in the pan, and I'll talk about the rest of the ingredients that we have going on here. So, all right. So for our starch, I actually did something that was a little bit different than I would normally do. Most restaurants, for the most part, have hummus, and I think it's a very unutilized bean itself is the garbanzo if you're buying it unprepared or prepared. So what I did was took pesto. I took nice fresh Marcon basil and just blended it down with our olive oil. And just got this nice, good, rich flavor. A little bit of spiciness for those who've made pesto before. The thing about this pesto is it doesn't have any nuts. It's just straight up a little bit of salt, olive oil, basil, and a little bit of lime zest in it, and a splash of lemon. So you get this nice, good, beautiful, rich green. And the little acid on there, I actually threw a little bit of goat cheese in it. So almost like feta goat cheese. That's going to allow that acidity brine to kind of come out on it. The other complement here is going to be pepitas. So pepitas are going to be pumpkin seeds, right? So I didn't want to over roast them, and I didn't want to make them too sticky or hard like brittle. So what we did was actually cook them down in sugar water with curry and some other cool little ingredients, and created this nice, pretty much like, very pliable pepita. So I want to do is kind of, as we remove the seeds from the inside of them, we wanted to make sure we can add some seeds back to it to give some type of texture, also cool flavor profile, and it reads really well on a menu. So, all right, so let's go here. So we're going to go ahead and start plating up here. So, all right, so we have our awesome squash. Nice little plates. Like I said, these squash can be very, very seasonal. So, obviously you can get more creative as you change your menus. And that's something that people are having to do more so now than ever, is be very creative, be able to pivot your menus as fast as possible given the current climate. That's brought up a lot of cool dishes as well for people to create in their restaurants. Because seasonality actually means that you're going to spend probably a little less money on items because it's more readily available. So people are trying to find ways to not necessarily save money, but utilize their cash flow in the right ways to maximize profitabilities for their restaurants. So we're actually going to heat this hummus up a little bit, or I'm sorry, not hummus, this pesto, the garbanzo pesto. And wow, that's really rich. You could smell it, just a straight basil. The garbanzo itself isn't a very dominant player in this. It's more of a base. So you can see here really quick, it doesn't take very long. The oil in it, the beans themselves, you don't want any caramelization. I also don't want to kill the green in it. So I'm just trying to make sure it probably hits about a temperature of like, I don't know, maybe about 150, 155 to kind of soften it up. Okay, so as opposed to like a mashed potato, I'm going to go ahead and just make my garbanzo pesto. I'm going to go ahead and lay our lamb. I'm going to put odd numbers, which is 3. I'll save the other one for myself. Little pea tendrils over here. All right. The pea tendrils are great. Cold for microgreens, as well as actually a light saute on them. On this, I'm going to actually put a little bit of my yuzu garlic oil. Lamb and garlic and lemon work really, really well together. A little bit of salt, fresh cracked pepper. And we're just going to top that off here. So it smells really, really good, very rich. I kind of recall the first time I ate lamb, and it just had so much flavor with garlic and lemon that it just stained my palate with that flavor profile. Now we're going to actually finish the squash over here with its little buddy of the curry pepitas, and that's going to give a little bit of texture and sweetness. There's a lot of bold flavors. These pepitas, like I said, have that nutty flavor, but also have that curry sweetness that we added to it. So for those who love lamb, please try this dish. It's phenomenal. It's very versatile, and it's Instagrammable, ready to go. Thank you so much. Talk to you soon.